If alcohol alone caused alcoholism, every excessive drinker would be an alcoholic. But many good Saturday night drunks are not alcoholics at all. Alcoholism is a basic living problem, and you and I have to have a basic living answer. Now, what do I mean by that? Why am I not drunk this morning? Sunday. I'm a couple thousand miles from home. Beautiful day. Why am I not drunk? There's no better day to be drunk than Sunday, when it's Sunday, you know? Why am I not drunk? Because I have the thing that I was looking for in the bottle. I got it. I got the thing. Now, what is the thing? I don't hurt in here anymore. That king-size hurt is gone. I'm not fighting me, I'm not fighting you, and I'm not fighting my God. I am at peace with me and you and my very own God. And that's the only reason I am not drunk. I don't kid myself for 30 seconds. If I hurt in here like I hurt 20 years ago, I would be drunk as I was drunk 20 years ago. Without this thing, which we call the miracle of AA, this morning I am a tongue-chewing, babbling idiot drunk. And I am not in the least concerned about saying that, neither am I in the least afraid of it. I know it. I can't stay sober up myself. So, it is a state of being that allows me to be sober this morning. There isn't anything that a drink or a sedating or tranquilizing pill could do for me but tear me down. I don't need it, therefore I don't have to have it. Now, why was I drunk 20 years ago? For the same reason, a state of being. A state of being that was so lousy that I had to get drunk to get a little peace. Why does a guy or a gal that is otherwise a pretty fine person, why do we keep fighting this battle for 10 years after we've lost? For two reasons, I think. Number one is that we can't admit defeat. We cannot admit defeat. It's against our nature. We have to win, and so we're in there fighting. I was saying to myself 5 years after everybody quit listening to me, I'll beat this thing if it's the last thing I ever do. And it came that close to being the last thing I ever did. I could not give up. But more important than that, is that the only peace I ever knew, until I found my peace in Alcoholics Anonymous, was when I was just right with that flesh. When I had just enough to make everything all right with me and with you, and life was good. This is the only peace I ever knew. I have 18 years and 7 months of sobriety to look back over. 25 years of drinking. And the time before that. And although I never had a drink until I was big as I am now. Out of school, I was an athlete, and I was always in training, and I never took liquor, and I never smoked either, for that matter, until I was out of school. But even back as far as my memory goes, I was a misfit in life. I could not integrate myself in the life around me. Although I wanted so much to be a part of, I was forever apart from, until I found myself in AA. And the only peace I ever knew was when I was just right. And as things became more and more confused, and as the truth dawned on me that I was going backwards, that the turtles of life were passing me up like they were on motorcycles. And I was yelling out, why? And there was no answer but a why. And remembering these times, I'd get that bottle and try to get back there. And I couldn't make it. But I kept trying because it's the only peace I'd ever known. Now you'll notice a while ago, I said if there be fault, it is mine. I said that purpose. Because I do not believe there is fault. You can't tell me that there is any alcoholic in the world that enjoys the life he has to live after he becomes a compulsive drinker. This is one of the things that makes it so hard for the world to understand us. Because we don't understand ourselves. An alcoholic is just as different on the inside from the thing he shows to the world as day is different from night. I think we were born with a combination of characteristics, all of which are good when we learn how to live with them, that make it impossible for us to integrate into the life we see around us. Not that we don't want to. We want to. But we can't. One of the things that just drives me nuts was a little scene in the days of wine and roses. You remember these two kids who were both heavy drinkers, and they fell in love, and they drank together, and they got married. And they both became alcoholics, tore up the place, and were separated. And he went ahead and found his way in AA, and she couldn't. And she loved the guy, and she came to try to get him to come back with her. And they were in an apartment high above the city of New York. And she was looking out the window. And he was begging her to join him in this way of life. And she finally says, I can't. She says, when I look out at this window sober, it's dirty and it's ugly. And when I look out drunk, it's beautiful. It just tears the heart out of me. Because for 25 years, the only way I could stand what I saw was when I was half drunk. You see, we're a bunch of perfectionists. Every alcoholic I ever knew. Perfection. Now, perfectionism is good when we learn how to live with it. Because there's that great drive, that goes with it. There's the inability to settle for the normal. We have to have things better than normal. And this is good. But there's also the inability to settle for anything less than perfection. And this is the thing that made us make over the world. This is the thing that made us make over our wives and our husbands. They weren't according to our standards. And we had to make them over. And this isn't a good way to make friends and influence people. People don't want to be made over. I have to laugh. at that little story of the attorney that had the two sons, you remember? And he couldn't wait till these boys got big enough to get him into the Boy Scouts. And they finally made it. And every time he'd come home, they'd have a little ritual, you know. He'd end up by saying, John, did you do your good turn today? Yes, Father. What was it? And so he came home this day, and they go through their little ritual. And he says, John, did you do your good turn today? He says, yes, Father, I did. He says, what'd you do? He said, I helped an old lady across the street. Oh, I says, that's wonderful. Jimmy says, how about you? He says, yes, Father, I did too. Well, he says, what'd you do? He says, I helped John take the old lady across the street. Why, he says, that's no project. Why didn't you get your... Oh, he says, you don't know that. He says, the old lady didn't want to cross the street. Here we are, a bunch of perfectionists trying to make the world over, and they don't want to be made over. And we're frustrated. Now, another thing. For some reason, we were born with the interior awareness that life should be a beautiful and good and a big thing. Every alcoholic on earth knows it. It came with us, inside us. One of the lines in one of Wordsworth's poems says it better than I can. It says, not in complete forgetfulness, nor yet in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory did we come from heaven, which is our home. And this is our picture of life. And we look at it, and it's not. And we can't integrate. We are rebels, not of our choice. And lastly, we're a highly emotional people, very sensitive, and we get hurt very, very quickly and very easily. The psychiatrists the world over say we are emotionally immature, we drunks. I don't believe it. I think it's because we're born with such a high degree of sensitivity. We get hurt so badly by everything in life. And at a very early date, we start building that wall around us to keep from getting hurt. And as we go along, we exclude, we chip off, we build this wall thicker and higher. Because we can't get hurt anymore. And we won't let anybody in to that inner sanctum because we know they're going to hurt. I don't think this is emotional immaturity. I think it's a living problem that we have to find the answer for. I've stood before this many and more people in Folsom Prison. Folsom Prison is maximum security. You can't even get in there for murder if it's your first time. You got to be an habitual to get into Folsom. So those guys are supposed to be pretty tough. And I've stood up there and watched 250 of them bawl right along with me, shamelessly, and let the tears bounce off of their belly. And it wasn't because they were emotionally immature. It was because of the great identity. They were inside just like me. And there was that great identity, one with another. Now with this kind of a combination, turn loose on the world. Something has to happen. And it's in our search for this something that we find alcohol. And alcohol is not a problem to us. It's an answer proving that the problem was already there. You see? Alcohol was no problem to me for 15 years. I got drunk and I got sober when I wanted to. I called the shots. I drank according to a very strict code. And it was an answer that I needed very badly. But after 15 years, the answer being the wrong answer turned into the problem. And it beat me to death. The only thing I knew that would give me a little peace and eventually oblivion wouldn't even give me oblivion. And I could drink that flip to the tumbler, and I couldn't get drunk, and I couldn't get sober, and I couldn't live, and I couldn't die. And if there's any hell any hotter than that, I hope I miss it. Searching, and unable to find. Because we can't fulfill the condition. Because of our condition. The weak man surrenders. The strong man wins the victory. And we have to stay in there and fight. Well, now, the reason I'm so slap happy on this program is because I can take no credit whatsoever for being here. I could not come to Alcoholics Anonymous until I'd run out of choice. My choice was never to come here. And I had to run out of everything, including choice, before I could come. I can't even take credit for living to get to my first meeting. Because on my next to the last drunk, I drove 6,000 miles in a blackout. I don't remember 5% of 6,000 miles in 2 weeks. So something must have been taken care of before I even got here. And I think it was the prayers of my non-alcoholic relatives and prayers that allowed me even to get here. And so I am the most fortunate, one of the most fortunate, along with you, one of the most fortunate people that live. Because I am here because of the accident of total failure in every department of life. And when there was nothing left to do, I abandoned myself to nothing and came here. What for? To find God? No. To find an answer to life? No. My life was over. To get my wife back? No. She was gone and should be gone, and I wasn't entitled to have her back. To get back the love of the kids? No. It was gone. To get my job back? No. No. I forfeited all rights to that job. Just for sobriety. And I didn't even want sobriety for myself because my life was done. I knew I was going to die. I had almost made it the time before. The oxygen squad had had to come and wake me up. The last time out. So I knew that death was imminent, but I didn't care. I must be sober until I died. Because I didn't want to die with a record. I didn't want that wife of mine and those kids to remember me as nothing but a tongue-chewing, babbling idiot drunk. And I must be sober until I kicked over in order to rub out as much as I could. And I came here for one reason and one reason only, hoping against hope that I might find a way that didn't include that flesh. And you told me not only the nature of my problem, but what you'd done. And you said if you wanted to do it. And that's all I've done for 18 years and 7 months. I have attempted to practice these principles in all of my affairs one day at a time. First, for sobriety. And after I'd awakened to the fact that I had it, then, just because I want it. Just because I want it. Because, you see, this is the thing I had to have since the day I was born. How fortunate can a man be? How very fortunate can a man be? I would have settled for the meanest old unhappy sobriety on the face of the earth, just as long as it didn't include liquor, and thought I had a bargain. And I've had sobriety for 18 years and 7 months. And along with it has come everything else that makes for a wonderful, good, full life. How fortunate can we be? Yes. I do not believe that we're at fault. I think that the drinking experience is a part of the search for unity. The search for unity, that we might be a part of. The life that I enjoy in Alcoholics Anonymous is exactly the life that I was born knowing that we should have. This is the thing itself. Now I'm going to close with a little thing. I've been asked to do it. And I love it. And I'm glad I was asked. A little thing that I have known since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, but never understood until I was sober some 5 years. It's one of our parables, the parable of the prodigal son. And it is my story, and it is your story, and it is our story. And it explains to me better than anything I've ever thought about, read about, or heard. And it explains you to me, and it explains us in our relationship to life, to God. Better than anything I've ever known. And it goes something like this. A certain wealthy man, God, had 2 sons. You and I. And the youngest one of them came to his dad, and he said, Dad, I've got me some big ideas. I'm going over to California and cut me a big pig over there. I've got lots of things to do. Got a lot of ideas. There's a lot of opportunities out there in California. Give me mine help. Father didn't say, wait a minute, son. We're wealthy. We've got everything you need right here. Stay home. You're liable to get out there in California away from home, consciously separated from, and get in trouble. You might run onto a blonde out there with a bottle of muscadoodle and get into a lot of trouble. Stay home. No. He didn't argue with the kid at all. He gave him his inheritance without an argument. Just gave it to him. And the kid went away from home into a far country, away from home, away from God. Conscious separation. And wasted his substance on riotous living. Now maybe you didn't do that. But this sounds suspiciously like me. Just exactly. And after he'd spent all, what'd he do? Come back home? No. After the famine, what then? No. That famine tickled too. There's ever a bunch of people that should be able to understand the famine is us. I don't think they make famines like that no more. You know? You come off a drunk, you're as hot as a 2-bit pistol. Half of your friends are trying to bank one of your checks with a tennis racket. That's a famine. After he'd spent all, there rose a mighty famine in the land, and the kid came to want. But he didn't come home. He did just like you did, just like I did. He went to a man in that country. You and I went to the doctors, to the psychiatrist. We got nothing against those people. We went to Timbuktu. We went every place, but we didn't come back home. So he went to a man in that country. And the man put him to work. And of all the things he might have put him to do, and he didn't. He put him to tending pigs. Now this is very significant. This is very significant because he's telling us to what depth the kid had gone. You see, this was a Jew boy telling this story, and they don't like pigs. They just don't like pigs, that's all. And for a Jew to have to tend pigs, there's nothing worse. And so the boy was down. We got a word for it in AA. We call it loba. And so he started tending pigs, and while he was in the pig pen, he got hungry. And he fain would eat the husk that the pigs did eat. And no man gave unto him. He was beyond human help. We got a line to that too. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, as we understood it. Probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. Beyond human help, you see. And so he got hungry, and no man gave unto him. And in his desperation, he remembered. I've been in that picture. You've been in that picture. I think I know all about that picture. And he had that moment of truth. He said to himself, I'm failed. I'm no good. I've sinned against God and man. But he remembered that in his father's house was plenty of bread. And immediately, like the alcoholic, he says, I can't go back home. I can't go back there and say, look, Dad, you're your son. I've come home. Can't do it. Because I'm a sinner, I'm no good. I'm not entitled to it. But he also remembered that the servants back there had more than he. And he says, I will go back and ask my dad to put me on as a hired servant. So he made the decision. He says, I will arise and go to my father. And now here's the miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous. The father saw him a long ways off and came to meet him. Ah, this is the miracle of AA. The father saw him a long ways off and came to meet him. And the father saw me a long ways off and came to meet me. Because when I got to that first meeting, I was convinced before I even got through the door that I was in the wrong place. Because I saw a bunch of people like you. And you weren't dressed like me. And you didn't feel like me. And you didn't look like me. And you were all yakking. Every one of you. Yak, 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 yak. Nobody listened. Everybody talking. And it was all happy talk. And I was apart from, not a part of, that happy talk. And I said to myself, they've given me a bum steer, because you see, I never had a spot. I went there alone. And only an alcoholic knows what it means to be alone. Only an alcoholic. And I said to myself, they've given me the wrong land. These are the veterans and their wives, and they're here for parties. Because it was in the Veterans War, Foreign Wars Hall, where the meeting was held. And I said to myself, I've got to go home and come back the night the drunks are here. And I turned to leave. And if I was dead when I got there, I was double dead when I turned to leave. Because this I needed so badly. And as I started to wait, the man heard over at the door, and he says to me, Mister, were you looking for somebody? And I said, no. But he says, what were you looking for? And I said, well, if it was interest, I was looking for the bride. Because, you see, I thought he was better. And the guy lit up like a Christmas tree. His whole being changed. He just lit up. And he says to me, why, take off your hat and coat. You're in the right place. And God came to meet me through him, who had already found his way. And so the kid started trying to tell God what a bad boy he'd been, his father. And again, the father didn't hear him. There wasn't any argument. The father didn't say, yes, I know what you've done. You sure are a stinker. You've messed things up, but good, and I've got the record on you. Now get the grubbing hoe and get back here on the back 40 and start to work on those persimmon sprouts and sassafras bushes. And maybe 25 years from now, if you've done a good job, I might invite you in to have lunch with me. No. Just as it was when the kid went away, it was when he came back home. There was no argument. No argument at all. No condemnation. The father fell on his neck and kissed him. And he put a ring on his finger, the symbol of eternal life, no beginning and no end. And he calls his servant. And he says, kill the fatted calf. Let's have a party. The boy was lost. And he's come back home. Even as you and I. It's not normal to walk alone. I walked alone for 43 years. It's not normal to walk alone. It's cold outside. It's normal for us to walk down the high road of life with our arms around each other, sharing our experience, strength, and hope one with another in love. This is normal. And it's not normal for us to be away from the Father's house. It's normal for us to become as little children, totally dependent on this great thing called God. Now this morning all things are good with me. I'm sober. My family was put back together. My health was put back together. My business was put back together. I have you. And I have a good life. All things are good with me. But you're looking at the most dependent man you'll ever see. I am totally dependent. I cannot run my life. I cannot run my wife. I cannot run my business. I can't run nothing. And I know it. What can I do? I can practice these principles in all of my affairs one day at a time to the best of my ability. And I can share me with anybody that wants me in love. And if that's not good enough, I've got to die. Because that's all I can do. But so far, it's worked out pretty well. Because I never had it so good. And my dependency is not a dependency of fear. It's a dependency of certainty. That comes with walking in this way. It's my business to do these things, and it's God's business to take care of. And He has done an infinitely better job than I could do. I gave my all. I gave my family, my health, my job, my money, and my sanity. I spent it all to do this thing. Ended up in the pig pen. And by the grace of God, through your help, came back home to a banquet. Is it any wonder that I'm here? This is no chore for me. I have to be here. I have to be here. I can't be anyplace else. I love this broker. And I love its people. And I love its God who is my God. And I can't keep from talking about it. It's been a great joy to be with you. I'm taking back to California 1,000 times more than I was able to give. Because I am one and you are many. And to think that we can sit and walk and talk with each other about our own failures and about our own good fortune and realize from whence it comes and laugh and cry together, saying one to another, didn't our hearts burn within us as he walked with us and talked with us by the wayside. This is it, that we walk with our hand in the hand of God and our arm around the drunk who still suffers. God love you.